Hello, hello. I hope I am live this time. Technology, man. Technology is such a thing. I am so excited to be here with you. I'm your Mayo best friend, Carice Laguerre. I have done Mayo every which kind of way. I'm probably doing Mayo than some of the people that you follow. But I am here every week to share all of my wisdom with you in every way that I can. Please, if you will, give me a hi, a hello in the comments. That just lets me know that I'm actually live and you can see me, you can hear me, and that I'm not just talking out into the void. Okay. If you can see me, if you can hear me, then yay. If you can't, then I'm just going to have to post this as a recording. But welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, to keep this going, I'm live every single week, but I go live at various times. I don't even know when I'm going live next, although I can tell you that I've got a really great topic. We're probably going to talk about pharmacology and how it relates to myo, airway, and sleep. And so that's super exciting, but you'll be the first to know if you're subscribed. So if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, make sure that you are, following me, I guess, or that you connect with me. Happy to connect anytime. Comments, shares, as always, it expands the reach. And I think it's incredibly important that we start expanding the reach because, this topic, like so many others, everybody wants to know about. Everybody's all the time talking about certification. What is certification in Myo? What's the best certification? How do I get certified? As if there's like one method, one way, one process, and one ability to do these types of things. And that's just not the way that it works. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now let me show you a little bit of what the process actually looks like. So I want you to imagine this maze here, okay? I want you to take a second, just look at the maze, and down at the bottom in the lower right-hand corner is going to be a start, and at the upper left-hand corner is where you would end. So you would start there, and this is your journey to becoming a myofunctional therapist. Yes, it's a maze, y'all. It's not like becoming a dental hygienist or speech language pathologist. You go to an accredited university, you get a degree, you take your licensing exams, your board exams, you get a license, and then yay, you're able to practice. You've got a regulatory board, and they're going to make sure that you're following all of the rules and the legislation, and life is going to be sweet from there, right? We know that it's ways more simple in like the theory of it than in the actual practicing and doing. But we also know that with OMT, that same streamline, everybody goes through this one practice is not the thing. It's also a big reason of why we're not evidence-based and why we may never be evidence-based. There's too much ego in the field for that to ever happen. But when you're at that start and you're just considering myofunctional therapy, there's so many roadblocks, so many ways you can get yourself trapped up, you can get caught, you can get yourself into a point where you're like, look, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It takes a while. It is a journey to get to practicing OMT confidently, proficiently, and profitably. Don't believe the hype. It is not you take a course and now suddenly you're making six figures. The people who are telling you that are lying straight to your face. Okay. There is no such thing as ethics or morals when it comes to myofunctional therapy. Everybody's just out here trying to make a dime because apparently they can't make that same dime doing the myofunctional therapy themselves. So now it's like this whole thing where we've got to make it look like it's some pyramid scheme. And that's not what I want you to get from myofunctional therapy. Okay. What I want you to get is that, yes, it's like a maze, but there are people who have been through the maze who can guide you to how you can get to the end, how you can get to practicing confidently, proficiently, and profitably. And sometimes that includes certification. Sometimes it doesn't include certification. But there's a way to navigate the field so that you're not lost. And it's not in just believing what anybody tells you, because you're going to struggle if that's the way that you're kind of, navigating this whole thing. So what typically happens right now is you might be interested in what myofunctional therapy is, and you go online and you go onto a forum or a Facebook group and you ask, what's the best course to take? And then you get a bunch of answers with a bunch of people who don't ever pay your bills, who don't care about you, who aren't going to invest the money in the course for you, and who may have an entirely different lived experience than you do, who will give you a bunch of answers and a bunch of information. Some of them will be course instructors, and nobody's going to ask you what you want out of it. Nobody's going to ask you to find out what's in your best interest for them to recommend to you. There's over 20 courses available that you could possibly take. Which one's right for you? I don't know if all you're asking is what's the best course to take. That's a very loaded question that nobody ever gets a big answer for unless I happen to be posting and I'm like, stop asking the question. Okay. So you might take something from the comments. You might see that something is the most popular in the comments. Okay, I'm going to take that course. You're going to select that course and live on a hope and a prayer that, yes, this is going to be the best course for me. I'm going to nail this and I'm going to be profitable. You're going to take the course. You're going to feel overwhelmed. The course is going to end. Some of your support might just be online. There's no in-person mentorship. There's no real guidance around how you structure a business, possibly. Like you're really lost at that point, and you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle and you'll be online. Hey, new to Myo, just finished a course, wondering what additional course I should take, or hey, I just took such and such a course and I'm just really confused. I don't know. What's the next best course I should take? What do you guys think? As if this is some normal thing. Like you just threw $3,000 down the drain. And now, oh, where's the next best way that I can throw my next $3,000 down the drain? And then you just keep spending endlessly because there's so many courses, there's so many possibilities, there's so many ways that you can do this thing, right? But you never really feel good enough. Like, I don't know, should I practice now? Maybe I might need to be certified before I start seeing people. I really just don't know that I should be charging for this. Like, I don't understand what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So you decide on a certification process and you start that process. And a lot of people go through a similar process, or some people who have taken specific things, and we'll get into that later, will go through whatever individual processes that they are signed up with. Then you get certified and realize that like $10,000 later, you're not making any more money than you would have made had you started a year, two prior. Like you don't make any extra money, you don't get any extra kudos, there's no additional respect, love, appreciation that's happening because you got certified. So now you've gone through, I'm going to go backwards, this wonderful maze, hit all those wonderful special roadblocks along the way, dropped a lot of money along the trail, and come out of it, and you're not even at that end point, right? Like you think you're out of it and you didn't even get out to practicing confidently or proficiently or profitably, right? And so I want for you so much more. And so that's what we're talking about today. Certification. Do you need it? Do you not need it? When is a good time to get it? And how to avoid this toxic cycle that everybody has each other in, just because I may have taken a course and then felt the need to take another course and take another course doesn't mean that that was an okay process for me to have gone through. And now I can tell others, yes, it's totally fine for you to spend multiple thousands of dollars on introductory courses. That's wrong. It's toxic, and we're leading each other, our peers, down these terrible trails. It's time that we like get clear on certification, what it is and how it works, and we stop living on a hope and a prayer, because that is the best way to lead yourself to disappointment. But even more so than disappointment, I'm very big on like, I'm a frugal Fran, y'all. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I've told you guys that so many times. If you've been here for a while, then you know, if I could save 10 cents, I'm gonna save $1. Like, I'm gonna figure out how I can save even more. I think it's important that we play around, we have a good time. There's some memes, there's some funny things. If you ever heard me lecture, you're gonna laugh. We have a great time, and I can play with you, but I'm never going to play with your wallet. Okay. And I don't want anybody playing with mine. And in times like these, where the economy is not where we all would like it to be. We're not in times of super thriving. And if you've got investments in the stock market, you're probably pulling out your hair every night. The last thing you need is to be duped into a cycle of spending that is endless, all to lead you to I don't know what, because dental professionals are failing at myofunctional therapy at 3 times the rate of any other practitioner. So you take a occupational therapist, you take a physical therapist, you take a speech language pathologist, you put them in a myofunctional therapy course, they are going to make it work. Why? Because they can. They don't have to take off their speech hat to then start doing myo. They're doing it in their practices. Myo doesn't work like that for dental hygienists. It doesn't. And if nobody's telling you that, that's the first problem. But certification should probably be low on the list of things you're thinking about. Don't worry, we're still going to get into it, okay? I just need you to, for now, forget everything you think you know about how Myo works. Like, oh, I take a course and then I do this and then I do that. There's over 20 introductory courses, and we know how I feel about that word introductory. If it's going to be called an introductory course with the anticipation that I am going to have to take more courses of a similar type in order to get started, price it as such. Don't charge me $25 to over $3,000 to start. Tell me that, yes, I'm going to need to take multiple classes. Then you need to charge me a couple hundred. This needs to be a $500 course. It should be maybe 600. I don't know. And then tell me that I need multiples. And then at the end of all of those multiples, maybe I've spent 3,000 total. But it shouldn't be to where we're trying to, wrangle every cent out of our peers and charge them these exorbitant fees for these courses, telling them that you're going to need more after this. No, you need the right introductory course for you, or what I would consider to be a comprehensive course. So you need a comprehensive course is the totality of where I really want to go with that. But if you're going to take something that's an introductory course into the career field, make sure that it is the right one for you. Okay. There is no accrediting body. Who knows what's in most of those courses? Unless you take the course and you do the content, you don't know what's in there. So there's over 20 courses, what are the odds that some of these people who are recommending courses have taken any more than just one of those courses? And all the knowledge that they have is about that one course that they've taken. So with what purview are you really taking this recommendation of, yes, this is the introductory course that I want to have? With what knowledge am I taking your biased recommendation on the one thing you spent $3,000 on? You loved it. Great. What are your goals for myofunctional therapy? Oh, you are trying to help your own children. You're trying to help your toddler get through whatever. Awesome. That's amazing. My kids are not toddlers. I, at this point, have 2 adults, a teenager, and a 4th grader in my house. I would like to help them. So how does your recommendation for the course that you love that's allowing you to help your toddler work for me and my family? I'll wait. It doesn't. Like, the people don't have the advanced purview to give you that recommendation, okay? So take that with a grain of salt. Stop asking people for these types of recommendations. I have multiple YouTube videos that are an hour so long that do give you all of the steps that you really do need to take to understand what it is you want out of this and if this is really for you. I would hate to have to invest all that money before I find out that it's not for me. There's no accrediting body, so nobody knows what's in those courses. And just FYI, if you think because a course is listed on a particular directory for a organization that does certification, that means that they have been reviewed, that they meet some standards of that organization. It means that they paid money for the marketing, for the placement to be there. And I feel like if there was more transparency around that, that's the integrity I'm talking about, that people would take a step back and start to look at the courses with a better eye. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they were reviewed by anybody. There's no standardized requirements outside of being 28 hours in duration. So you need to have 28 hours of CEs, and this can come a number of ways. Some people don't even have 28 hours of content. There's over 50 hours available for you on my YouTube channel. Some people don't have 28 hours of content in their introductory courses. Most of that, the hours and so forth that they're building on, are Q&A. So there are going to be some courses where you get above and beyond, where they're giving 60, 70 hours of content. Awesome. And there's going to be some courses where you're getting 14, 15, 16 hours of actual lecture content because they have nothing else to give you. And the rest is you just asking questions. There's no standardized process. How are you supposed to discern between the difference between those two? How are you supposed to know what exactly it is you're supposed to be looking for? There are ways to do that. I want you to forget everything you think you know about the process, everything you think you know about the field. You don't know what you don't know, and there's a lot in this field that a lot of people don't know and don't understand. So throw all that away. Let's insert some new thoughts, okay? Certification, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. If there's no accrediting body, like nobody's registered with the Department of Education, certification, not a thing. It doesn't make sense for you to even believe that it might be a thing. You need an accrediting body in order for it to be considered a certification or, a regulated field. And it's okay. Just keep forgetting what you think you know. It's not unusual. These are things that are happening in other professions. Like you can become a certified sleep consultant. I'm a certified fitness trainer. There's certified personal trainers. I'm a Reiki master. There's certified yoga trainers. There's certified everything. And let's take a second to understand that there's not regulations or legislation. These are important words because now you're talking about laws and things that are actually implemented into scope of practices and so forth. Because everybody throws those words around real willy-nilly, but nobody understands that if there's no legislation to back up all of that, it means nothing. Okay, it means just nothing. Certification is not a thing because nobody's regulating it. And if nobody's regulating it, it doesn't make it something that you shouldn't do. We will always have personal trainers. We will always have people who teach yoga. We will always have sleep consultants. I don't care how you feel about a sleep consultant. We will always have lactation consultants. Like all of these are fields upon which there is no regulation, but you can get certified. Does that certification mean anything? No, it really just means that you have met the standards of whatever teaching institution you have taken that information or training for. So if you are ACE certified or ASCA certified, if you are certified as a personal trainer, yay, good for you. Are you going to be able to get me in my optimal health? Like, will I meet my goal weight? Are we going to be able to do the exercises that I want to do? Like, do you look the way that I would like to look? Like, these are the things that we're really looking for. Nobody's looking for the certifications. And with that same amount of energy, I'll tell you that people understand and know what a sleep consultant is way more than they understand and know what a myofunctional therapist is. So can you practice without certification? Yeah, very obviously, yes, you can practice without certification. And I love this Sheree quote from Real Housewives of Atlanta, because who's going to check you, boo? Without regulation, there's no regulatory body. Like, who's telling you you can't? I always like to go back to lactation because I think a lot of people have misconceived perceptions of lactation and what that profession really looks like. IBCLC is the gold standard, and it's the gold standard because they just have most structured and really proficient process around their certification. Now, does that make a person who's gone through training with a course that gives them a certified breastfeeding consultant, a CB, a certified breastfeeding specialist, a CBS, a certified lactation consultant, not IBCLC, just regular CLC? Does that make a La Leche leader who does training and education any less valuable? No, everybody is capable of helping. We just consider the IBCLCs like a gold standard, and gold standard is just professional to professional. If I'm a person who has a newborn and I'm struggling with that newborn, and who's available to me is not IBCLC, but it's a breastfeeding specialist who is very knowledgeable and gets me to where I need to be. It helps me and baby learn how to nurse and to get together well. I don't care that you're not IBCLC, you're not board certified. Who cares? You helped me. We take advice from each other all the time. We take advice from random people on YouTube all the time. We take advice from random people who post videos on our phone and on Instagram, holistic mommies who have no training in education on anything. We take advice from all those people all the time. Nobody cares about the certification. Just to be as frank and honest and transparent as possible. Nobody cares. Okay. Let's just get into a little bit. I love this graphic from Beacon Live about accreditation versus certification. So I got to give Beacon Live the credit for that. But accreditation with a actual body is Department of Education, which we don't know how long that will last, or if that will be a thing, or how serious we need to take the Department of Education for a little while. But it is somebody who has a process. They're listed with the Department of Education, and they have a process that's going to evaluate and really flesh out what exactly it takes to be a teaching institution. What's the criteria? What we have is CODA in dentistry, right? That's going to outline what needs to be taught at all of the dental hygiene schools, if there are dental assisting schools, dental schools. Like CODA is going to make that outline. This is what you need to learn and be taught. Our board exams are going to be standardized. Like there's one set process and path. That's just how it works, period. When we're looking at Myo, there's no accrediting body, right? And me, as the president of the International Association of Airway Hygienists years ago, we looked into becoming an accrediting body. There's almost 200 pages of information as to how to become an accrediting body with the Department of Education. We sum that down. I've read through that material and summed that down to 14 pages in outline bullet form manner, like the big things that we need to know that we had to extract from that information. Sum that down to 14 pages and determine that that was a process and an on-taking that was too big, and we would never get all those people who are teaching their own individual courses to agree that what we mandate needs to be taught, because heaven forbid you actually have 28 hours that you're mandated. Heaven forbid that you actually have a certain amount of information that is mandated that you have to teach and instruct on. So we kind of drop that. But what we do have, so we don't have accreditation in Myo, but we do have certifications. And certifications are just within those personal institutions. Whoever taught you in that institution created their own criteria upon which you can obtain certifications. So not just a certificate, because there are programs that'll give you a certificate, like a certificate of continuing education or a certificate of completion. We're talking about certification where there's some testing format that they want you to do, whether that's an on-site, whether that means whatever it means. They have their own format and process and requirements in order for you to get that. They're not listed with any sort of accrediting body. They've just determined that on their own, which is okay because, as we have already established, that happens in a lot of other fields. So certification can be a thing, But in the grand scheme of like who recognizes it, it's not a thing. So here's what's available: COM, COM, as most people commonly will say, like, oh, have you got your COM? So they put it together. COM is a certified orofacial myologist. Now, that is from the IAOM, the International Association of Orofacial Myology. Now, they have also initiated the term orofacial myologist. I'll tell you that there needs to be better branding around it, because I will say this every single time. Orofacial myologist, when you go and you look up the research, and I think more people need to do research around keywords and terms, because when it comes to marketing, this might be part of why your business isn't doing as well as you want it to. Nobody's looking up or looking for an orofacial myologist. A lot of the keywords around our field, and there aren't many, there's not a lot of people Googling this stuff. A lot of the keywords are around myofunctional therapy. Okay. So I really think the branding needs to be significantly better. If I was going to be certified anything, I'd probably want those words myofunctional therapist to be in there. But that's neither here nor there. Know that that comes from the IAOM and their own process. Okay. AOMTC. Oh, and the IOM does not teach courses. They only have their examination process for the COM, and any 28-hour course is eligible for you to be able to join the organization and take the exam. Okay. AOMTC, AOMT certified, I think that's what that stands for. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't found anywhere like what exactly that is, what it means, and like why. So AOMTC is certified. The AOMT is the Academy of Orofacial Myofunctional Therapy, and they have their own certification process that goes along with their course. So they have a course, they have a certification process, they have coffee classes, which are like these weekly mentorship opportunities where you can go on virtually and get that help, and they have their own process that they follow. And I want to say that I think it's included if you pay for the course. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. COM, because they don't teach a course, has their own paid process. AOMTC, I think, comes with the course. Like you take the course and then you're eligible. And I don't think you have to pay a separate fee. Could be wrong. CMT is with Myo Method. That's Hallie Bulkin's course. Certified Myofunctional Therapist. She has her own competency testing requirements and process. QOM is with Neo Health Services. That's Qualified Orofacial Myologist. Neo Health Services is Sandra Holtzman. Sandra Holtzman has been doing myo like forever and ever. Much respect to Sandra Holtzman. She's got a wonderful process, but what I'm going to assume is kind of like AOMT and CMT. The QOM is based off of their processes, right? So I've taken Sandra's course, and then I started her QOM, and I have a longer story about how I started my COM and why I will never become a COM, but that's neither here nor there. But I started my QOM, and in doing the QOM, you have to just use their process. And that didn't work for me because I use dynamic therapy. I need to use other things. I can't just use your exercises. Like, I won't limit myself in that way. But if you've only taken her course and you haven't done anything else, I think it's fabulous. You'd be able to do that and get the QOM, no problem. Okay. MAS is an older foregone set of letters. And it's sad to me that it's foregone, but it is what it is. That you might see some people with it because there were definitely people who finished that certification process that was independently through Dental Sleep Toolbox and then connectively with Airway Health Solutions. And now that is just like, I don't know, a dumpster fire. Myofunctional Airway Specialist is what that stood for. And you might see some people who still carry that. On some of my content, I still carry it every now and then, but it is what it is. COMP is a newer one along with AOMP, but COMP is with Myopathway. It's my course certification, and I've got my own process and my own mentorship, and how everything works with my process is completely different. But that's certified oral myofunctional practitioner. And then AOMP, and I don't like the A. I am so sorry, Sarah. I love you to pieces. Like, you don't understand how much I love Sarah. Shout out to you. But accredited, like, what is it accredited by, Sarah? Like, I just really need to know that. But accredited orofacial myofunctional physiologist. I like the physiologist part. I think that that is super dope. Any of these are available to anybody who's taken courses with these particular institutions or in totality, like with the IOM and their COM process. But what does it all mean? Nothing. And I really thought of it as like a cheer with, like, what does it all mean? Nothing. Like, it all means nothing. And this is how I start a lot of my presentations whenever I'm talking about myofunctional therapy. And I ask people, oh, have you seen these letters behind people's names? And some people are like, yeah, or no, or I don't know, or whatever. It's like, great. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I've given you all that information, and it all means absolutely nothing. It doesn't make anybody, there's no certification that's better than any other one. There's no set of teaching that's better than any other one. None of it means that you're actually capable of getting somebody through a program. It means that maybe you've done one or two at most cases, sometimes three or four, but it means that maybe you've done a handful of cases and those cases have gone well. Yay. It doesn't mean that you can handle a complex case. It doesn't mean that you could do like XYZ certain number of things. It really is just meeting the standards of that particular thing. So the biggest issue with certification is that it doesn't equal any more of anything. You don't get any more money. You don't get any more respect. You don't get any more like freedom. It doesn't mean anything. It's just extra letters behind your name that nobody is regulating, that nobody really cares about, because I guarantee you that you could walk around Family Feud style and you can ask 100 people on the street, what is myofunctional therapy? And I guarantee you most people don't even know the right answer to that question, much less to then say, okay, and I know that the COM is the certification that I want to look for. I'm like, no. Nobody knows what it is that we do, so nobody cares what certifications are. I bet you don't even know how many certifications are available within personal training. But if you see somebody in the gym that looks big and they come up to you, hey, I'm a personal trainer, whatever, you're probably not going to ask for their certifications. And if you do, you don't know the difference between the one certification organization and the 6 other that are available. Like, nobody knows the difference. Same way, nobody knows what you do as a myofunctional therapist, and nobody understands the difference between the certifications. So try that Family Feud style thing. You don't have to ask 100, but ask 10 people and see if you get a correct answer. And of course, these need to be random people on the street. Don't ask a bunch of your coworkers who you've been talking to about Myo. Ask a bunch of people. But I'll tell you that sometimes you go ask a bunch of coworkers and they won't even know. They won't understand. But Carice, what happens if I'm asked about whether or not I have certifications? Like, people have been saying, oh my gosh, I need to work with a speech therapist because they're more, they're highly trained and they're actually supposed to be doing this, and we've just usurped this from them, and yada, 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 yada. Like, won't a certification mean that I am better? No, no, it doesn't. I am technically very, very, very uncertified, and I'm super happy with being uncertified. And the only reason why I offer a certification is because so many people ask me about certification. But I'm super happy not being certified. In fact, I'm practicing Myo in a way that I think most people would want to practice Myo. I have not worked in an office in years. I will never go back to clinical hygiene. There's no need for me to go back to clinical hygiene. I get referrals, I get families who refer, I have other professionals who love working with me who will continue to refer, and not a one in the 8 years that I've been doing myofunctional therapy, not a one of those people have asked me about whether or not I'm certified. Everybody knows that I know what I'm talking about. They've seen the fruits of my labor. They've had conversations with me, and they've gotten no inkling that I'm incapable of doing what it is that is my job to do. And so I find that very strange. I think that's more of an internal thing. Like, you're worthy. You are totally capable of doing myofunctional therapy. You don't need somebody's certification to justify you, to say, oh, yes, you are great. Yay, you're really good at this. Mm-mm. You don't need that. You don't need that. You need to get really confident, and you need to do the work. And that's why Alex Hormozy is on here. So, Alex Hormozy, if any of you are familiar at all with like the business world or have watched any of my other lectures, sometimes every now and then I bring up Alex because I listen to Alex religiously, and he has phenomenal business advice. Phenomenal business advice. He says that really repetition is key. And if you want to get better at something, you have to do it. If you want to get better at making sales calls, you need to make 100 sales calls, analyze what happened in those 100 sales calls, what made the ones that said yes good, and how do you repeat that? Refine your process, do another 100. Okay, what made hopefully more of those go well, and refine and refine and refine until every call you make is a killer, right? And it just makes sense. I go on stages now. I have no qualms about going on stages. I have no qualms about speaking. I have no qualms about a live stream. Most of you guys don't know that most of these live streams, I put together my slides maybe an hour before or a little bit more than that. But it's really not something I'm sitting down for a whole week trying to plan out. I can put a presentation together and outline it like that. I've done so many at this point. I've talked about this process. I've done over 100 podcasts. I do consultations every day. I'm constantly talking to other providers, professionals. Like, I'm refining my messaging around myofunctional therapy all the time. I'm refining my presentation skills all the time. I'm putting in the work. So what you see is the outward result of that. When you see the confidence around it, people have said, oh my gosh, you're so passionate. I could see the passion. Okay, yes, I'm passionate about myofunctional therapy, but I don't think that's what you're seeing. I think what you're seeing is the confidence. And with that confidence, nobody questions me. Are you certified in myofunctional therapy? And like, Alex is on here for another reason, because he's in personal training, and because, well, he's not in personal training anymore, but he has a history of that. But when he was in personal training, like, people would be like, oh, like, what's your certification? Are you certified? His response, and I love this, and I used it the one time somebody actually asked me about that recently. What certification are you looking for? Because people aren't asking a question that they actually have an answer to, right? So if you're going to ask me a question like that, you better be prepared for like follow-up questions and to really be able to grill me on my process. Like, oh, are you certified? Like, did you complete training with the IAOM? Okay, is that the certification that you're looking for? You're looking for a COM. If you're looking for a COM, why is it that you're looking for a COM? Are you aware that the process, da 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 da? Like, we could go through the whole thing. I can go tit for tat with somebody all day long about these certifications and how meaningless it is. But most people are asking you that because whoever they talk to before you, they're, first of all, provider hopping. They're looking for a particular provider. And we're going to get into a little tangent in just a second. I could feel it coming. But they're provider hopping. And so they probably talked to somebody before you who was like, oh, make sure that you're only working with a certified provider, because there's a lot of people who take a course and then they just practice. Okay, well, clearly 8 years in, I'm not the person who just took a course and is just practicing. Like, I've taken multiple courses, and then I've taught multiple courses, and I have mentees globally, and I've done the work, right? Like, I've done the work. So you don't necessarily need me to be certified, because you could find somebody who just took a course and then 6 months later did the certification process, and yay. And we're not on the same page. We're not the same people. Okay, we won't be the same people until they've put in the work and they've put in the time and they've had the chance to do all of these things. But what I would, let's not go on that tangent. But what I would like to say is that what happens if you're asked about it, I want you to hit back with that question. What certification are you looking for? are you aware that there's like 8 certifications and there's over 20 courses, and that there's no standardized path in this eminence based field? This is not an evidence based field, it's an eminence based field. Is there a particular certification you're looking for? And do you know why you are looking for those qualifications based on whatever rationale you have or that you've learned being online? And you could really, really wait because they have no idea why they're asking. They don't have any sort of substantial information that needs to follow that. So if you're asked about it and you're not certified, who cares? That is not the person you want to work with anyway. They can go look for their calm. They will come back. They will come back to you. I guarantee you, if you're good, they'll come back to you. But I think what I value more so in people is that we mesh well. And so I think that's the greater thing. That's the tangent I wanted to go off on, but I'm not going to go fully on that tangent. Just going to dip into it a little bit, that you should be really assessing the person that you're working with, because myofunctional therapy is something that takes a good bit of time. You don't finish a myofunctional therapy program after a week. And so if you don't like that person, or if their tone or their style or their attitude isn't meshing well with yours, it's not like, oh, well, it's just a week, I just have to get through it because they're certified. No, you want somebody who's going to be able to work with you for the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months that you might be doing a full program. Like, that's what I value. I'd be asking all the questions to get to know, are we going to work together for the next year? Because I don't want to have to deal with whatever attitude I'm sensing here or whatever resistance. Like, I would just, I want to know, are we going to mesh well? So I think that that's more important than the certifications. And I think that if your personality stands out well and you're confident, I don't think you should have these problems. And if you are having those problems, this is not the person you want to work with. And you've saved yourself 6 to 12 months of absolute torture having to deal with that person and whatever misconceived notions they seem to have about your profession that you don't have, because you're confident, cool, and collected. I brought up Tony Robbins because I would love it if somebody in the chat could tell me what degree Tony Robbins has achieved, has obtained, has graduated with. I'll leave a little second here for people to just kind of think about it. That's right. He has no degree. He has no degree. No degree. Mark Zuckerberg didn't finish college. Elon Musk started his advanced education and then dropped out. Gary Vee he's all the time talking about how he is terrible in school and he didn't do well in school. He has a bachelor's degree, but never advanced any further than that. But these are not people where we're like, oh, we needed to know what their qualifications were prior to them being able to teach us, to lead us, to guide us. No, Tony Robbins walks in a room, he owns the room, he's confident, he's cool, he's collected. You're going to listen to him because he commands that respect. And I think that's something that we can kind of learn from with regards to myofunctional therapy. If you're practicing without certification and you want to continue to do so, you can. You have to be able to refine how you carry yourself, because there are very, very, very successful people who have absolutely no qualifications to be in the position that they're in, but all of their attitude. I think I've always had an issue in dentistry with some people and like their leadership or how they've reached to certain points in dentistry. And I feel like I'm just hustling, working hard, 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 hard. Why can't I get there? A lot of times it's really just they have the audacity. They have the audacity to go out and to do the big, bold, audacious things and to do so with confidence. And because they're doing it with confidence, people are all about it. They're going to continue to dominate the stages and all sorts of things. And I think that's the overall moral of this story here. Let me not go off on that tangent. So if you want to get certified, I believe you should get certified. Is it a requirement? Absolutely not. Does it mean anything? probably not to the greater world, but for you, it might. And so if you want to get certified because it makes you feel good inside, get certified. Like, do the thing. You can do it. If it will enrich your heart and make you feel like, you know what, I paid for this course included certification, I'm going to get my money's worth, I am all for it. Okay. I am with you, boo. If something's included, if it is like free because it's in and I already prepaid for it, I'm going to do the certification. Like, hello, this is the process. Let me get with it. So if that's why you're going to do it, do it. Be all about it. I love that for you. If you just want something that'll just hang nice on your wall, you've got your college degree, you've got your licensure on your wall, and you just want to get your certification in Myo up there, do it, boo. I love that for you. I don't have anything on my walls that like tells people that I am who I say I am. It's just the confidence. But I love the people who do. Every time I go into an office, I was in somebody's office. I think it was my mother-in-law's. I think it was in her office, and she had like all of her stuff out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you're just so fabulous. Look at all these certificates and degrees, and you go, girl. Is super educated. And if that's what you want, please get certified because it's totally worth it for you. And that's who you would be doing it for yourself personally. But I believe you should not get certified under any circumstances if it's to establish authority or credibility. You don't know anymore because you got certified in this one thing. You don't know what these other courses are teaching or what other certificates are out there or what other information you're missing. So it doesn't make you a master of everything because there's no standardized process. Like in dentistry, if you are a dental hygienist and you are board certified, you passed your boards and yay, okay, you've got the standardized knowledge and skills that everybody has. But that's not the way it works in Myo. Like, there's a lot of people who don't know anything. So a lot of people who don't know a lot of anything. And if they had a com behind their name, if they had comp behind their name, if they had CMT, if they were AOMTC, it wouldn't make me respect them anymore. I think that it is important that if you want it, you get it, but don't expect anybody else to recognize it because most people don't even understand what it is, what it does, what it means, what it says. So whatever. If others are asking you to be certified or if you're certified, forget them. Those are not your people. You don't need to get certified because they want you to be certified. And if they want you to be certified, like if it's an employer or whatever, and they want to pay for the process, go for it. Go for it. I wouldn't do it for anybody else other than myself. Okay. I think that that's incredibly important. And don't get certified to increase your fees. That's not how that works. People don't understand that you're certified or not certified, so they'll pay you now or not pay you now or pay you whatever. Your worth is determined by you. What you value your worth at, what you value your skills, your knowledge, and your capabilities at. So certification is not there to increase your fees. You can increase your fees without certification, and plenty of people do. One of the best parts of being a myofunctional therapist is that our field is super, super small. So small. They say that, like, if you have hoop dreams, I love that they call them hoop dreams, and you're a small kid and you want to get into the NBA, the odds are very, very low that you will make it, right? Well, if you are a prospective myofunctional therapist and you want to get into myofunctional therapy, the odds are very, very high that you could talk to somebody who is a Michael Jordan of Myo, who's a LeBron James of Myo, who's a Kobe Bryant of Myo. Okay. Shout out to LeBron James because we are literally the same age. I feel inadequate every single time I mention that. There's so many celebrities that are my age, but Drake is the same age as LeBron. Drake, the rapper, yes, the one that Kendrick Lamar dissed publicly at the Super Bowl. Issa Rae, like there's a whole lot of them. Anyway, we are the same age, me and LeBron. And I like to imagine that I'm always working my way up and working my way up and trying to get to that MVP spot. But if I was to claim an MVP spot, okay, it would be with that Kobe mindset that I'm always working on me. And I'm always working to make myself better. And in so, I'm so willing to give to others because we can't be a field of excellence. We cannot demonstrate adequate excellence if we have not all increased each other. So it's not a competition. I'm not in competition with anyone but me. Kobe was never in competition with anybody but himself. And the more of that attitude you guys start to pick up, the better it is. But there's so many greats, and I would love to name them, but I feel like some of my friends who are among these greats would be very offended if I forgot to name a particular person, or if I name somebody first and then somebody else second or whatever. But you'll know who the greats are. All you have to do is ask. Instead of asking what course should I take, who's the best person or the best mind you know in Myo that I should talk to about it? Talk to the greats because we've seen it. We know what's out there. I've talked to so many people. We have our own chats, some of the greats. We have our own chats, and we know what's going on in the underbelly. We know what's going on in some of these courses. We know what people are coming out not being taught. We know what people are coming out raving about and what things are really coming into the ether of Myo, what things need to be put out. And we would really be able to people to guide you. You want to be a Jordan, you want to be a LeBron, you want to be a Kobe, talk to them, learn from them, glean all sorts of wisdom from these people. And so I think that that is really important that we start to really like do that. And if anybody wants to talk, I'm going to leave that up there for the rest of this thing because I'm willing to talk to people all the time. And I will tell you flat out what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, is this for you, and how you can figure it out. Okay. But let's end on a beautiful note, an absolutely beautiful note. You are capable. You are so capable. You don't need certification to define you. It is a possibility. There's so many certifications you can take. You can get whatever you want to get out of that. But you're capable without it of being profitable, being proficient, and being a fabulous therapist who helps so many people in your community. We are not in a period of abundance with myofunctional therapists. We're not where there's so many of us that, oh my goodness, there's no work. There's too few of us and an overload of work. There's a lot of greats that are leading their way into retirement, that are starting to, leave the field and that are starting to wind down on their schedules. There's room for all of us. You're capable to be in here and to be on the next list of greats. We don't get a Steph Curry without having the formula, without having the formula first paved in a trail by a Kobe. Like, we don't get that. And so you're very capable. You just got to follow the path. You're worthy of whatever you want to charge. You don't have to be certified in order to charge a particular rate or something. You are worthy of charging your actual dollar value in worth. And you deserve the praise and the acknowledgement. If you've done a myofunctional therapy course and you're like, I just don't know, I think I need to be certified before I can take the next step, let me be the first person to tell you you deserve to take that next step now. Don't wait for somebody else's process. Don't let somebody else's broken system determine your value, your worth, and how you feel about yourself. You are 100% worthy. You deserve all of the good feelings and like self-esteem that comes from servicing others in a phenomenal way. Okay. So with that, let me let you enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a fabulous week, my friends. I will see you next time where we'll be talking about pharmacology. I'm so excited. Nobody ever talks about that. These are not things that are free. Like somebody would put that as a gate behind some myofunctional therapy course. This is why I'm here. Let's open up the gates, no gatekeeping, and let's talk about all the things that'll make us all great together. I love you all. Bye, best friends.